Hello gamers, I'm Encasiel, and in this video I would like to talk about an upcoming game called the First Descendant. Maybe you heard of this title before, since it made some waves back in 2022 when it got announced, but since then the developers have been working real hard to deliver the best experience possible. On my channel, most of the time I talk about games that could be fun. I do not like to waste my time with things that don't have potential, and I believe the First Descendant might be a game with a lot of potential. Before we get into what the First Descendant promises to offer and why you might be interested in checking it out, I would like to take a moment and thank all the returning subscribers for being here. Thank you very much. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you enjoy my content and want to support me in this hobby of mine, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons. Alright, let's get back to the topic. What is the First Descendant? The devs call it a third-person, cooperative, action RPG shooter, but it can mean a lot. So to put it simply, it's a game very similar to Warframe or the upcoming game called Wayfinder. If you are not familiar with these games, the concept is pretty simple. You pick a character and the game is centered around progressing this character by doing missions or fighting bosses. All of these are tied together by stories and lore. Warframe and Wayfinder are considered MMORPGs by a lot of gamers, and I am part of those people. I believe that the way they deliver content is identical to the MMORPG formula, and for me, how we experience games in general is what defines them. Therefore, there is a good chance that this game will also be considered an MMORPG. We cannot be 100% sure, since we did not get to play the latest version yet, but we will get a chance very soon. On the 22nd of August, an open beta test week will start. This test will allow us to check all the work that they have been doing. At the same time, this open beta test is meant to test the crossplay functionality. And the fact that we see more and more games released with crossplay is amazing. I have friends that prefer to play on consoles when given the opportunity, while I will always play on PC. This new direction games are taking will allow us to enjoy games together regardless of what platform we use. Rather than talking about only the First Descendant, I wanted to do a little comparison to Wayfinder, because they seem to be aiming for similar release dates and they are very similar games. So I believe it is highly likely that if you are interested in one of them, you might be interested in the other as well. Of course, Warframe is the primary game of this type and it will be the best out of the three. For a few reasons, but mainly because it's been out for a long time and it has an amazing amount of content. Another reason is that Digital Extremes is a brilliant developer that continuously updates Warframe's engine, and as a result it looks and plays up to today's standards. But you might have already played Warframe, and sometimes we experience enough of a game and we might get bored with it or feel the need to try something new. So let's start with the visuals, since they are one of the main differences between them. The First Descendant takes a more realistic approach to graphics, everything being very detailed, and to me it seems like a lot of work has gone into the animations and the small details to make it look amazing. This is definitely the style I prefer more, and it is way more visually appealing to me. On the other hand, Wayfinder has stylized graphics that age better, take a lot less effort from the developers, which might mean content is easier to develop. And as we have seen in the past, a childish approach to visuals appeals to a lot more people than a realistic one. Fortnite, WoW, League, all these games became more popular than their competition, and one of the reasons for this is without a doubt the stylized graphics. Before we move on to the next point, I wanted to mention that I have seen some amazing animations that the First Descendant devs have shared with us, and honestly I was very impressed by them. You can check them on the screen right now. Alright, moving on. They both aim to provide a large roster that will continuously update with the passing of time. As of right now, it seems that the Last Descendant has a much larger roster than Wayfinder. They also seem to be focusing a lot more on variety when it comes to player agency. which means that you are more likely to find a playstyle and a character that fits you. Talking about playstyles, the First Descendant seems to be focusing on abilities and ranged weapons, while Wayfinder will be focusing more on melee weapons. So depending on which kind of gamer you are, you might prefer one over the other. When it comes down to content and customization, they both aim to provide a sort of open world and instance boss battles, but both of these games have received feedback that they need more of this. As a result, both developers have been working hard on improving these elements, and both of them have been sharing some of this work on their Discords. Unlike some other games, these games are truly in development, and it's refreshing to see their progress over time. So, until they get released into early access, it will be hard to say which will have more. But I am leaning towards Wayfinder, since one of the companies backing them is Digital Extremes, and as I mentioned previously, they have excellent pedigree. The last thing I wanted to mention is that neither of these games features any PvP at this time. The developers are open to the idea of PvP later down the line, but they are not making any promises and their focus is completely on the PvE side of the game. So they are similar in this aspect as well. Overall, personally, I prefer the First Descendant, and for me it's very simple. The visual style is way more appealing to me and it has more characters to choose from, which means that hopefully the game will keep me entertained for longer. However, I was very excited for Wayfinder, and a lot of that excitement still remains. So I am still looking forward to give both of them a try and see which one of them I click better with and which can keep me entertained for longer. Soon enough we'll be able to play them both and decide. If you want to register for the First Descendant beta, a link will be in the description of the video. Anyway, what do you guys think? Does the First Descendant look like something you would be interested in? If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. If you want to support me in this hobby of mine, you know what you have to do, and it involves those like and subscribe buttons. See you in the next one, gamers!